Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're shifting gears a bit, moving away from the external world, history and events, to focus entirely inward.
Yeah, it's a different kind of exploration.
Definitely. Our sources for this deep dive aren't your typical reports or records. They're deeply profound, very introspective, philosophical texts. And our mission today, it's ambitious, I'll admit. We want to take these powerful pieces of wisdom and, well, forge them into a clear, really actionable path for you, the listener.
Right.
We're essentially charting a course out of that everyday anxiety, the information overload, that feeling of never quite being satisfied.
Towards something deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Towards what these texts call purity of heart and a state of deep, cool comfort. Genuine tranquility, really. We're hunting for the clearest possible roadmap to inner clarity.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how these sources just refuse to stay abstract, you know? They feel less like academic philosophy and more like, well, like an instruction manual for getting to know yourself.
The instruction manual, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and they explicitly, repeatedly emphasize actually doing the work. Practice over just reading about it.
Right.
So we're not just kicking around concepts today. We're trying to pull out clear, tangible action steps for mental cultivation, things you actually have to apply.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. The problem statement these texts identify. They jump right into this common human thing.
That feeling.
Yeah, that feeling of deep, intense emotional friction. Distress, they call it. That feeling we get when our expectations or our desires, our demands maybe, just aren't met.
And we're constantly clinging, aren't we, to this very narrow, conditional idea of comfort.
The comfort of things going our way.
Exactly, that specific kind of comfort.
That friction, that distress. It feels so natural, but it brings up a really crucial question these texts explore, doesn't it?
It does. What is it that genuinely stops us from reaching that purity of heart they talk about, finding reliable relief from all these emotional burdens?
And what do they suggest?
Well, the sources seem to point directly at that desire for specific external comfort. And our attachment to it, that's where the suffering really stems from.
Okay, but hang on. If I'm, say, struggling financially or maybe dealing with a really stressful job, is just reframing my idea of comfort really going to be enough to dissolve that very real distress?
That's a fair question.
Where do these texts draw the line
Yeah.
between, taking necessary action out there in the world and just doing the internal emotional work?
That's a critical distinction, absolutely. And the texts, they don't deny external reality at all. They're not saying ignore your problems.
Really?
They simply state that our reaction to reality, that's the source of the persistent pain, the ongoing suffering.
Ah, the reaction.
Yeah, the distress flares up because we're basically demanding the universe bend to our will, to our definition of comfort. Even when, deep down, we face this fundamental truth that, well, ultimately, our stability has to come from within.
We have to rely on ourselves.
We do. But we keep looking outside for guarantees, for things to make us feel secure.
So the key isn't to eliminate comfort or ignore the world.
Not at all.
But to fundamentally redefine where reliable comfort actually comes from, where it resides.
Precisely. It's about broadening that core definition, expanding it to include, the vastness of nature, the cycles of life, the basic, unshakable truths of just being here. When we manage to internalize those truths, then the real goal starts to emerge, to give rise to what the texts call unconditional regard or pure love and that cool comfort.
Which means finding that genuine tranquility, that deep satisfaction within ourselves.
Yes, independent of what the external conditions are doing at any given moment.
Okay. Now, this is where, the rubber meets the road. Because we all know people, maybe it's even ourselves sometimes, who've read every self-help book, listened to every podcast, every intellectual argument. They know the concepts inside and out.
Right. They have the information.
But the sources are emphatic on this point.
Yeah.
Intellectual knowledge alone, it's just not enough.
Not when it counts.
Right. When real-life conflict hits, when the world pushes back hard, we just default straight back to that raw emotional reaction.
And all that knowledge just flies out the window.
Exactly. It seems almost counterintuitive, though, doesn't it? Just say knowledge isn't enough when we're here, trying to gain knowledge from these texts. What's the biggest mistake people make here?
I think the mistake is confusing information for wisdom, for applied understanding.
Okay.
We have to actively practice seeing the difference between just, memorizing facts like audio textbooks or concepts and that deep, profound, applied understanding.
Could you give an example?
Think about swimming. You can read 10 books on technique, ace an exam on fluid dynamics.
Know everything about it, theoretically.
Right. But if you get thrown into the deep end, that intellectual knowledge, it offers zero immediate comfort, zero actual competence.
Only the practice skill helps you survive.
Exactly. Only the absorbed embodied skill. So the Source urges us constantly, seek the true nature of reality. Don't just settle for easy answers or superficial information.
It's an active investigation.
It is. We have to be willing to really interrogate what we think we know.
And I really appreciate that the texts actually offer something practical here for how to handle all that information we gather. Because knowledge overload is a huge source of anxiety for a lot of us.
It absolutely is. And that methodical approach is vital.
So what's the suggestion?
Well, one tangible idea for handling all that intellectual input is to organize your sources logically. Maybe chronologically, maybe by theme or by argument.
It's not just about neat filing cabinet.
No. It's about ensuring we actually absorb the knowledge effectively. Preventing it from just becoming overwhelming noise, it helps you build connections between ideas.
That clarity helps find inner clarity.
It's a prerequisite, I'd say, that kind of step-by-step clarity.
Okay, so beyond organizing the external data, the books and articles, we're encouraged to turn that same kind of investigator microscope onto our inner landscape.
Yes.
What does that process look like, that internal questioning?
This is really where the deepest work happens, I think. We're explicitly encouraged to question our own foundational beliefs, the really deep stuff.
About
Ourselves, about other people, about how society works. You know, take a common example, a belief like, my worth depends entirely on how productive I am.
Or I have to please everyone to be safe.
Right, those kinds of core beliefs. The text suggests we actually pause, take a breath, and genuinely ask, is this belief actually accurate? Is it really serving me? When we stop just letting time slide by unconsciously, just reacting on autopilot, and genuinely question those deep structures, those assumptions, we can often trace the root cause of our anxiety, our sorrow, directly back to one of those faulty, unexamined beliefs.
And that self-correction, fueled by actually applying the understanding.
Yeah.
They say the singular attribute we really need is a soft heart. Now that sounds lovely, maybe a little abstract.
It can sound that way.
How do we build this? What does cultivating a soft heart look like in the grit of daily practice?
Yeah, a soft heart, in this context, it's absolutely not passive. It's not weak. It's an active strength.
Okay.
And it's cultivated through intentional, consistent practice. The Source uses this beautiful image, like planting a small seed of benefit every single day.
A small seed.
Yeah.
What does that look like practically?
It could be anything, really. A moment of deliberate kindness when you feel irritation rising. Pausing before you hit send on that angry email.
Little choices.
Little conscious choices.
Yeah.
It also involves actively developing qualities like, profound kindness, deep compassion, and seeking out true supportive friendships, what the texts call kalyamita, good friends.
Right.
These relationships, these actions, this constant practice of radiating unconditional regard, it reduces the internal friction in our lives, makes us less brittle, more resilient.
But let's be practical again. Life involves some profound disappointments, real suffering.
Of course.
We see intense suffering out there, maybe a child suffering, or we experience deep personal betrayal or tragedy hits close to home. And we feel, often completely helpless.
Yeah.
Doesn't that soft heart risk just being crushed by the weight of it all?
That's the fear, isn't it?
Yeah. How does this philosophy recommend we respond to genuine heartbreak without just being defeated by it?
The practice they suggest is to use that moment of heartbreak not as a trigger for helplessness, but as a kind of 3-step movement towards constructive action.
Okay, 3 steps. What are they?
Step 1, pause. Just stop. Don't react immediately.
Okay.
Step 2, identify the raw feeling, the negative emotion, sadness, frustration, anger, hopelessness, whatever it is. Acknowledge it fully without judging yourself for feeling it.
Just see it clearly.
See it clearly. Then, step 3, move towards constructive action.
And crucially, the texts clarify that the first constructive action has to be directed inwards.
Exactly. It must always be seeking self-healing first.
Why is that so important?
Because only after finding some internal stability, after healing from that immediate shock, can we actually help the world effectively, compassionately. Otherwise, we're just trying to pour from an empty cup. Or maybe a leaking one. And that just leads to burnout, resentment, deeper suffering for everyone. We absolutely must not let disappointment or that feeling of helplessness stop our own growth.
Okay, so wrapping this all together, What does this mean for the listener who's trying to actually sustain this path? We've covered the need for tranquility, this purity of heart, the absolute importance of applied practice over just knowing stuff, and the necessity of maintaining this resilient, soft heart. How do we make sure this isn't just, a momentary burst of philosophical inspiration that kind of fades by next Tuesday?
Yeah, that's the challenge. And the sources confirm growth is continuous. It's a moment-to-moment challenge, really.
Not a destination.
Not a destination. We should never let the simple passing of time lull us into complacency, into just going back to autopilot.
We can always choose differently.
Always. We can always choose to overcome arrogance or maybe laziness. We can always choose to re-examine those deep beliefs we talked about. We can always choose to move forward, even slightly.
Even when things feel really tough.
Especially then. The power here is recognizing that even when we feel like we're at our absolute worst, tired, bored, completely overwhelmed, convinced we failed, we can always choose to turn inward and find that quiet strength for self-correction. This path, it isn't a one-time achievement award. It's a commitment to constant conscious awareness.
So the ultimate message then, it's one of enduring potential. Always present, regardless of our history or trauma or external circumstances.
Precisely. The text leaves us with this really powerful assurance. No matter where we find ourselves, no matter how dire things might seem externally, we can always choose to learn and, as they put it, bloom beautifully.
Bloom beautifully. I like that.
And that blooming, it's the direct result of accepting that daily challenge, maintaining the conscious awareness, nurturing that soft heart, and staying dedicated to applied wisdom, not just theory.
Wow. Okay. We've charted a challenging path today, definitely, but hopefully a clear one. Moving from that noise of information overload and daily anxiety towards actionable wisdom.
Yeah.
And the path demands we cultivate that soft heart, constantly seek the true nature of reality, especially by questioning our own assumptions.
And this deep dive, I think it really reminds us that the ability to truly benefit from knowledge, it doesn't just lie in what we read or hear.
Right.
It's about how skillfully we use our time, our strength, our intellect to actually apply those philosophical lessons day by day. It's about being pragmatic with your inner life, using knowledge as a real tool for profound change.
So as you move forward from here today, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought drawn straight from the source material. You are, right now, already surrounded by the knowledge and the kindness needed to heal yourself and eventually to help heal the world. So what if you could commit just this week to always trying to step back from conflict, even internal conflict, to acknowledging the raw feeling without judgment, and then consciously choosing to focus on self-healing before you act or react? What profound, lasting change could that simple daily shift bring to your life? Think on that until our next deep dive.